Hey there everyone, I'm Samuel Johnson, this is my dog Xander, and welcome back to the Ben 10 Retrospectives. And today, we're going to be talking about episode 15 of the original Ben 10 series, The Big Tick. And straight into the point, in this episode, Ben gets a new alien. Pretty much, Ben, Gwen, and Max are... Sorry, he wants the camera. Ben, Gwen, and Max are at Yellowstone National Park. Gwen and Max are just admiring the beauty. But Ben, being Ben, wants to go accelerate and go to a burger place that they passed on the way there. And Gwen actually is all for it because Max wants to eat grubs off the land because that's what he does. He's Max and he likes exotic food. So Ben is able to activate the Omnitrix, and he doesn't end up transforming into Accelerate. Instead, he winds up turning into hold on. He winds up turning into a new guy. This big, burly alien with plates on his arms and on his back that eventually is named Cannonbolt. And at first, Ben doesn't really know. Ben is surprised by this. He doesn't know what Cannonbolt can do. And then even when he does discover what Cannonbolt can do, namely roll into a ball, he just kind of thinks he's useless. But shortly after he becomes Cannonbolt, a meteorite crashes near Yellowstone. The group goes to check it out, and while they're there, they find out that the meteorite isn't actually a meteorite at all. It's actually a giant tick, which burrows its arms and mouth tendrils into the ground. And shortly after it does this, a group of other aliens that come in, and apparently these ticks' worshippers, as it were. They refer to it as the Great One, and apparently what this giant tick is pretty much a cosmic parasite, as befitting a tick. And pretty much what it does is that it goes from planet to planet, and after it burrows itself into the planet, and it literally sucks the life out of the planet to the point where the planet can't sustain itself and then just explodes. And once that happens, the tick just goes on to another planet and repeats the process, and so on and so forth. So it's going to do that to Earth, and of course the Tennysons don't want this to happen. And at first it looks like they're not going to be doing well, because at first they're just knocked aside, and when they are knocked aside, but eventually they come back. They take care of the minions on their way back to the tick. But when they do reach this thing, Ben starts going through all of his aliens one by one, but no matter what he throws at it, he can't seem to even put a crack in its skin, and eventually he has just used all 10 aliens, and he can't go, and it just looks like this thing is unstoppable. But at that point, the worshippers come back. They trap them in a bubble, and in the next cut, we see that the planet is now is being turned more and more into a barren wasteland, and the worshippers release the Tennysons and tell them to scrub the tick. And it looks like that, and at this point they don't know what they have to do. Ben's gone all of his aliens, they don't know how to beat it, but Gwen points out that Ben apparently didn't use all of his aliens. He hasn't used Cannonbolt yet, but Ben's reluctant because, again, he thinks he's useless, but Gwen states that if he doesn't do anything, then the planet's going to be screwed either way. So eventually, in the final phase, Ben just says, screw it, and then just goes Cannonbolt. And when he does go Cannonbolt, of course, he does see the strengths. And when he's in a ball form, he can apparently just rocket everywhere, being able to easily just knock out the worshippers and save his cousin and grandfather. And apparently his plate is actually helps protect him, as apparently the worshippers start shooting lasers at him, but he's able to bounce them back, so that's hence the name Cannonbolt. And so Ben goes up against the tick again, but it's still the same as all of his other aliens. He can't seem to dent it, so Ben decides to go at this from another angle. Rather, he lets the tick ingest him because it's starting to breathe in all this air. It's supposed to be like the final moments where the planet's destroyed, so Ben lets himself get sucked in, and from the inside he starts just destroying the tick's innards using his power, and eventually causes the tick to pretty much just explode with goop all over the place. And after that, the worshippers are pretty much just they pretty much just say Ben's the new great one, but then they see Ben transform back and decide, no way. They leave, and then someone somewhere hits the reset button as somehow the entire planet gets back to normal within seconds. I really don't know how. It just somehow is fixed immediately, and then for some reason Max and Gwen have Ben clean the entire RV because it's covered in tick goop, even though like he said, he might probably deserve some rest, and the tick goop wasn't really his fault. He did save the planet. It just kind of seems unnecessarily cruel, but yeah. Pretty much, I like the episode I think what makes this episode work is just, honestly, I just kind of like the idea of new aliens in this case. Like, nowadays it's not really a big occurrence to the point where it's not so much of a big deal anymore, as pretty much we've seen Ben get so many new aliens at this point, it's not even that so much of a surprise anymore. In fact, in some cases we actually expect it, but but when this episode first aired, this was kind of a big deal, at least to me, because I remember seeing advertisements for season 2. I was thinking, oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome, Ben 10's coming back, but then among them I saw images of Cannonbolts. I'm just thinking, who's that? What? He gets a new alien? What's that come in? And this wasn't the episode that introduced me to Cannonbolt. That's another episode that we'll be getting to in a couple weeks. It actually was I think that it was just a nice idea that it turned, and it's even stated in the episode that the 10 aliens in the Omnitrix are not the only aliens that Ben can transform into. It's just that these are the only aliens he has access to at the moment. All the other aliens are locked, and Max even states that if there's just one more alien, then there could be hundreds more, and again, it's proven later on in the series, but in the beginning, we get this one guy, and you're just kind of curious and thinking, oh, nice, we get more heroes, and again, and it pretty much just guarantees that there's going to be more. We just don't know when or where they're going to pop up. And in this case, I like really, I kind of like I do like Cannonbolts. He is on my favorite aliens list, though probably not in the top 5, but somewhere in the top 10. But Cannonbolt, I think, is just kind of nice. He's big and burly. He's big and burly. He's flexible, but he's also kind of in that same token of selectively useful. I mean, he's not as limiting as like Gray Matter or Ripjaws, because he is still useful in a variety of situations. Because again, the reason Ben calls him Cannonbolt is because he shoots like a cannon, and his scales are that way, and again, he's very useful when he's in his ball form. He's a force to be reckoned with. It's just that when his weakness kind of is a turtle syndrome. When he's outside his ball, he's next to use. He can be wobbly. He falls around. He's big, but not. He's big, but not. He's pretty much just a walking. He's just kind of a walking tank when he's not a ball. Just not. He's slow moving. He can't really do much. He just kind of wobbles, and it's just he's only really useful when he's a ball, but really he's probably like that most of the time. He's a heavy hitter. He can move fast. He can deflect projectiles. I like Cannonbolt. He's in my top 10 favorite aliens of the show, but probably not my top 5. But again, that's just my personal opinion. I like him, and I do like seeing how this happens. And I think another strength in the episode is also just kind of the villains. Though, really, in this case, they're not really used very often. In fact, this is the only time we ever see these particular aliens again. Because, again, I just stated the tick, or the Great One, as he stated, is destroyed in the episode, so you never see it again. But really, the worshippers are never seen again in this thing, and I like that there are, and I think they're kind of fun to watch and work with. Like the lead one is just kind of that serene guy. It's kind of like that serene cult leader that's saying, "Oh, we come in peace, surrender to us," blah 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 blah. They got a heavy hitter who has a big gravelly voice. He likes to hit things, and then there's the more serene one who's supposed to be like the translator for the giant tick. They have some nice personalities, but we don't. I think what we're kind of with. I think what's kind of strange that they don't really work off each other that much. I mean, they're still fun to watch because I just kind of like seeing the little translator just saying yes, yes. Which is just again, he could easily be misinterpreting everything. Maybe this thing doesn't even care about these guys, but it's just sort of amusing just to see that happen. And there is again, there's not really much, but really there's not really much that they work off of each other. They're just sort of generic minions for this thing. One's the leader, one's the translator, and one's the heavy hitter. I'm not saying that they aren't. I'm not saying that they're not unentertaining, but they are still pretty much. But I think they could have been utilized more. Not horrible, but not great either. And I think another nice little thing I think another nice addition is just kind of the eventual turn of the land, because because they actually show in the episode that when the tick burrows into a planet, it somehow has an effect that its pus or its gas or whatever somehow can mutate the planet, makes it more harmful, and that's exactly what happens. Like, the sky turns red, the ground and landscape turn purple, the trees start pussing out, and you even see these little tendrils that are yipping away. It actually adds a more creepy atmosphere, because as the landscape gets worse and worse, you see how the world is just becoming more and more destroyed by this tick, even to the point where Old Faithful blowing could easily destroy the entire land, could easily destroy an entire section of land. And so when it's ultimately close to them, I mentioned how it becomes a barren wasteland. All that's gone. It's just white. You can tell this. It adds a nice sense of drama and urgency to this thing as you see how dangerous things can get. So, sorry, my dog, but I think a major problem with that is that, again, they hit the reset button at the end. Once the episode's over, hold on a sec, I'll be right back. Sorry about that, but I think my major problem is that it feels like it's hitting a reset button in this case. That once the tick's over, there's no real lasting impression beyond this, except beyond the fact that they apparently saved the world again. But everything is just immediately reset. It somehow just regains life in seconds. And none of this is ever mentioned again in any other episode, because they stated that this apparently the tick was pretty much sucking the life out of the entirety of the planet, and yet really no other episodes. There's no mention of the fact that the planet was almost sucked dry. Because I'm thinking that this should affect more than just Yellowstone. It should have affected the whole world, because they even showed that that mountains would crumble, cities would be laid to waste, and yet apparently no one else in the world. It's never mentioned again in any other episode, and no one seems to. And you never even get like a backhand news report saying, "Oh, and it's like we don't know what's going on with these strange weather patterns." But no. After this episode, it's like none of it ever happened beyond getting cannonballed. No, there are no lasting repercussions. Everything just goes right back to the way it is, and apparently no one in the world seems to care that everything seemed to be dying or mutating. So, but I'm sorry, I'm just getting sidetracked. I'm not. Again, this may be a major complaint, but I don't think it ruins the episode. I like the designs. I like the impeding nature. I like kind of the big nature of the problem as it shows the world. I like the new alien. I like the design I like the designs and backgrounds of when the world is being consumed by this thing, and on the whole, I just think this is a really nice episode. I think it helps establish everything, and it sets the foundation for more storytelling as we learn more about the Omnitrix. So, I think that's really all I can say. I think it's a good episode. Sets up more story opportunities, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and tune in next week where we look at the return of one of my favorite villains of this show. So, yeah. Again, thanks for watching. This is Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next week. Take care.